Radicals who spent years denigrating Trump's America First policies now suddenly claim that they are the real champions of the America First movement. Oh, okay. Case in point, the socialist who won't admit he's a socialist. Michigan Senate candidate Abdul El-Sayed telling Axios, "I'm the most America First candidate in the country," proudly. Really? So does America First mean getting rid of the people who are actually protecting America?
ICE cannot be reformed. ICE cannot be retrained. ICE has to be abolished.
Does America First mean comparing our allies to terrorists?
You said the Israeli government is evil. Do you think they're just as evil as Hamas?
Yes, killing tens of thousands of people makes you pretty damn evil. It's not how evil is this one versus that one. Hamas, evil. Israeli government, evil. We could say both.
Does America First mean wrecking our healthcare system by turning it over to the federal government to run?
Guarantee every single American health care through Medicare for all. I think it is high past time that the billionaires get taxed on their wealth.
Here to discuss is Stephen Miller, White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy. Stephen, I want to get your thoughts on Fauci in a moment as well. But so suddenly now they're wrapping themselves in the America First blanket, saying they're actually taking the most interest right now in the American people, their needs, while you guys are all running off to take care of Iran's needs.
So, Laura, this is the same party, the same movement, the same group of people who allowed and perpetuated and authorized the mass invasion of the United States by foreigners with no right to be here from the worst places in the third world to take our jobs, our communities, our country, our safety, our future. This is the same extremist movement that has dismantled our nation's police departments during the Biden era, setting free criminals who are hardened predators to rape, maim, murder innocent Americans. These are the same exact people who've lent aid and comfort to Antifa, to the global terrorism movement, to foreign drug cartels, and yes, to the Iranian regime that is responsible for the murder of countless American soldiers serving overseas. At every single turn, the radical left Democrat Party, now run by socialists and communists, has sided with America's adversaries, with foreigners, with illegal aliens, and with criminals over law-abiding American citizens.
Well, taking the brand is clearly a sign that they're at sea, and they know that the America First idea is popular, and that's what people want. So they're trying to kind of rebrand themselves into that. At the same time, they want to elevate illegals and their patriotic spirit, Stephen, over that of native-born Americans. Check this out.
So many of the detainees that I have met, whether I was in Louisiana or Texas or in Massachusetts, they are some of the greatest patriots you will ever meet. They love this country, and they have been making positive contributions to it every day. We have to abolish ICE.
Stephen, they're the true American patriots. They're better than you. They're smarter than you. They're more honor roll students than you're ever going to have. These are the true American, the real renegades for the American experience.
And yet somehow, Laura, they cannot enrich their own countries. They cannot enrich Haiti. They cannot enrich Somalia. They cannot enrich the failed states in Latin America or in Africa or in parts of the Middle East. Somehow, these migrants are not able to make any of their own countries work. And we're told, in fact, their own countries are so unsafe they cannot live there, but no one can ever explain why their countries are failed, why they're so supposedly or actually unsafe, why it is that it doesn't work. Laura, if you allow unlimited migration from the third world to the United States, all that happens is you turn America into the same third world country from which these migrants came.
Now, Stephen, I want to move on to the news of the day, which was Anthony Fauci's repeated taking of the Fifth Amendment, pleading the Fifth instead of answering basic questions about his handling of COVID, gain-of-function research, et cetera. Given what we know now, that we've known his private diaries, his diaries aren't private, they're written on government computers, so forth. Does the president, in your mind, have any regrets about having put him center stage for as long as he did in the handling of the COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, I think it's quite the opposite, Laura. If you remember in 2020, it was President Trump, sometimes alone, sometimes single-handedly, who was fighting the corrupt and broken healthcare establishment. President Trump was the one who questioned the origins of COVID. President Trump is the one who questioned the need for requiring every single American to be tested over and over and over again. He's the one who questioned whether we should require children and healthy adults to be subject to restrictions for an illness that primarily targets the elderly and the sick.
Yeah, but Stephen, Fauci was all over the place on television. Yeah,
but the fights,
yes.
remember,
but he
Laura,
went out
it's
there.
too easy to rewrite the history of this period. I was there, Laura. I have to be very clear on this point. President Trump saved America from a Great Depression by fighting against those who wanted to shut down the schools and shut down our way of life. He fought to reopen the government. And if you remember, the Biden campaign in 2020 spent hundreds of millions of dollars demonizing President Trump for fighting to keep America open at every single step. Every day, the news cycle was the so-called healthcare establishment attacking President Trump for questioning the experts. And President Trump, at the same time, moved heaven and earth, because there were people who did have pre-existing conditions, they had comorbidities, who did need help. He moved heaven and earth to get our hospitals the equipment and materials they need, which is why we had a vastly lower death rate than all the other developed nations of the world. So I salute President Trump for what he achieved, and I'm glad that America got to see in the hearing today exactly why President Trump fought the healthcare establishment the way that he did, and why today Bobby Kennedy is the Secretary of Health, because President Trump has always put families and patients before the so-called healthcare government experts who oftentimes have an agenda of their own.
Stephen, it's always great to see you, my friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.